Good morning. I'm Dr. Sunanda Samadar Corrado, co-hosting the John Telford Detroit Show with Dr. John Telford, coming to you live at 10 o'clock every Wednesday morning on WJZZ Cool TV, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Dr. John Telford is a former Detroit Public Schools superintendent, a former world-class athlete and conqueror of Olympic champions, a championship track coach, poet, newspaper columnist, longtime civil rights crusader, and the author of 6 Detroit-oriented books. The Poet Emperor of Earth, What Old Men Know, Creative Insubordination, The Will Robinson Story, The Poetic Prancings of Mad John, his explosive autobiography, A Life on the Run, and another forthcoming poetry book, Athletes, Activism, and Apple Boughs, a Detroit poetic epic. He also has a show on WCHB AM 1340, Detroit's gospel station, Saturday mornings at 9:30 and Monday evenings at 6:30. That's Saturday mornings at 9:30 and Monday evenings at 6:30. His books are available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, or just by calling the Good Doctor at 313-460-8272. That's 313-460-8272. Dr. John Telford has been called a legend and a lightning rod for controversy. He has received the Detroit City's Council Spirit of Detroit Award and the Joe Louis Foundation's Spirit of the Champ Award. He was named Wayne State University's Alumnus of the Year in 2001, and a Detroit track was named for him. His email address is drjohntelfordedd@aol.com. That's drjohntelfordedd@aol.com. Now, without further ado, I present to you that crusading old native Detroiter, the one and only Dr. John Telford.
Thank you, Dr. Sunanda Corrado, that PhD from Columbia University, who is an anthropologist by training. Dr. Corrado has been teaching at Wayne County Community College District for over 10 years, and she looks 17 years old, so how can that be? She's currently a researcher for the Detroit Equity Action Lab, which happens to be housed in the Wayne State University Law School. And she is she's founder and CEO of Education by Design. My name is Detroit. I'm a blue-collar town. Blue salt melts my mid-March snow. Speedy cars and sprinters spring from me. I father fierce fighters and funky music. In a Motown moment, I can spit the blues right back in a bureaucrat's eye. Have you never seen blue salt? No complex chemistry here, only the old color of a new sky. And there's a new sky dawning over Detroit today.
That's right.
Because we've got Andre Nichols in the station today, sitting right across from me. And we're going to be interviewing, Sunanda and I are going to be interviewing Andre Nichols right after I make some obligatory statements. You know, and last week we had Tamika Davis.
That's right.
Reading her risque poems, risque, and let me tell you, they were risque.
They were risque.
Reading her risque poems. And I was reading some of my risque poems. So I'm not going to be sending this particular tape to the school board, which I usually do, nor will I send it to my kids at Frederick Douglass.
They might not come to work the next morning if you send it to them. You might have more kids for Detroit Public Schools, though.
Okay. And you know, that's right.
That's an investment, John.
Yeah, man. We got
Dr. J.
We need children. That's all this is about.
I never thought of that. And you know what I'm doing this Wednesday? This Wednesday I'm heading over. I'm heading back to Finney High School, which isn't Finney High School anymore. Now it's East English Village.
Oh yeah, shout out to the view.
Yeah, but it should be Finney High School.
I feel you.
Because the Finney family were abolitionists, so somehow or other we got to get that name changed back, and that's one of the tasks that I'll be working on. That'll be one of my goals. But I'm going to be going there because I'm the poet in residence. I go around to the high schools. You know, my home school is Frederick Douglass, but I go around to the high schools reading my poetry, and I'm going to do it at Finney. And you know, when I do it at Finney this coming Friday, when I do it at Finney at Frederick Douglass, really, not Frederick Douglass. That was man.
Finney.
I got
the former Finney, East
here.
English
East
Village.
English
All
Village.
right, it's not Finney.
That's right, and the principal there.
Finney died with freedom.
That's right, and the principal there, Marty Bulger, is going to be reading his poetry also in my presentation. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. Okay, we all stand or fall with the courageous freedom fighters of the Ukraine. You know, Putin is the world's new Hitler, and you know, I did a poem on the Ukraine. I call it the refugees' refuges. The refugees' refuges. The refugees' refuges. Having trouble with the accent on that second word. A refuge is a place of safety.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a quick poem. It's not one of my best poems, but it's heartfelt. Poles, Lithuanians, Albanians, and Romanians are all prepared to receive Ukrainians. And so must America be. And so must America be. Okay, one of my kids at Frederick Douglass, Ronald Butler, I want to read a poem that he wrote too, because these kids are starting to write some pretty good poetry, Sunanda. So when you come back and help me and Curia team teach, you know, you're gonna be hearing some.
You need any help at all? It's just a pure pleasure to be there.
Well,
to see what y'all do.
These kids are getting good. You know, they're getting good, and no one expected them to get good because you know they're
the AP class, the 11th grade AP class. Call out to them at Frederick Douglass, the only all-boys public school available in Michigan.
That is correct.
Amazing job, guys.
Okay, this is Ronald Butler's poem that he just wrote. Life for blacks is the hardest test, so it is matched with the best protest. The best protest demands no rest. The best protest demands no rest. A test of stress for a single quest. The best protests are the ones we pledged with our arms, our necks, our mouths, our heads. How about that for a poem from a 17-year-old kid at Frederick Douglass High School? And I think I reversed a couple of the words. I think I read them in the wrong order, but he won't care. You know, next time I'll read them right. Okay.
We need to bring them on the show soon. A couple of your poets.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. But they're going to have to get permission to bring them here because they'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning when they're supposed to be in school.
Maybe they could Zoom.
Wednesday.
We'll figure this out. Logistics.
We'll figure it
Sorry.
out. We'll figure it out. But anyway, you know, Jerwan Howard was supposed to come on today, but he got, and he's a young author, a very promising young author. But he got hung up by having to do something because he works for council person Tate. Councilperson Tate, who actually was an old friend of mine who has since passed. You know, a lady who's gone. She was married to Jerry Bell.
So he introduced Andre Nichols.
That is
II,
what he did. You know,
who is a close peer of his, also a sports figure, also very active in the arts and the youth and you know, issues around Detroit.
Football player and tennis player.
Caddy.
Golf.
Caddy and golf.
All right,
Yeah.
man after my own heart.
And a parliamentarian.
He looks like an athlete too.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But an athlete who knows the rules of conduct.
See, I don't look like
my
an
Lord.
athlete anymore. Of course, I
Yeah.
didn't look like an athlete then. You know, even when I was boxing, I didn't look like I could fight. but I surprised
So
me. Good.
Andre Nichols is the entrepreneur and owner of Duffy, which we'll talk about
Yep, the
soon.
Duffy Enterprise.
Yeah, Duffy Enterprises, which we're going to talk about soon.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all of that stuff.
It's a real treat to have young people on the show,
Andre.
young
Pleasure.
to us.
Absolutely, and he's doing stuff for young folks, you know. Which
He's doing stuff for old folks, because actually, if you look at his consulting, he's consulting people my age about how to get their business back to the ground,
That's true.
from virtual
So,
back to
Nanda,
the
you
ground.
ain't an old folk.
Oh, Lord. Tell
I'm
my
an
son
old
that.
folk.
You're an elder.
I'm an 86-year-old elder, and so I'm
That's
an
when we
elder
use
of
euphemisms.
elders. Right, yeah.
That you are an elder.
Okay, so you want to ask Andre our first question? You want me to?
Well, actually, I wanted you to give us a little bit of background
Good
because
idea,
your questions
yeah.
go right into what you're doing.
Right,
but I want to know a little bit about where you came from and how you got into Duffy Enterprises and this idea of young people needing to discover their authentic self in order to become a fully engaged person and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to talk about, because we were talking about this right before the interview and it really caught my attention.
Okay. All right. Well, first and foremost, I appreciate both of you all for allowing me to be here. I want to definitely give a big shout out to my guy, Jawan, for essentially throwing me the layup. You know, he contacted me like, hey, I don't know what you're doing.
Hey, I'm glad he did, because you know what? I called Sherry Gay Danyogo, who we've already had on this show. You know, she's running for Congress, and she's a school board member. And I was desperately trying to get somebody when
Well,
Juwan said he
she
couldn't
already
come.
agreed to April 6th to coming onto your show.
She's coming on April 6th, but I was going to try to fit her in here real fast.
Poor Sherry.
shout out to Sherry.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Incidentally, Sherry's going to be at this thing we're hosting at.
And we need to talk to you about it because John Telford at the Detroit Yacht Club, because he is a renowned member there.
Yeah,
is
I
hosting.
heard about you. I
Yeah.
did my little research about you at the Detroit Yacht Club.
Yeah.
You got you stamped over there. I ain't gonna lie.
Raise a
Yeah,
little
you got
hell.
your name got good weight over there.
Raising a little hell.
So on April 28th, he's you're bringing about the first platform for congressional delegates for the 13th district to come together and talk
which is
about
the biggest
issues.
district in Michigan.
Yeah,
No.
the first platform since redistricting. So this should prove to be very, very interesting and yummy.
Yeah, and that's going to be April the 28th, which
Yeah.
is a Thursday,
And so Sherry,
between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock at the Detroit Yacht Club. So, you know, come on out and ask questions of these candidates. We've got Sherry.
Donegar's
Sherry's
confirmed.
coming on.
Is that a public event?
yes,
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to come.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Like, I didn't know if it was private
we're
or
gonna
No,
be
it's
calling
public,
you
it's
about
public.
this.
Yeah, I definitely want to make sure I'm pulling up.
Oh, we want you there.
Yeah,
With
I'm
questions.
absolutely.
Yeah,
With
for sure.
questions.
Nah,
Want to put everybody
This
a
a
little
big
bit on the spot.
this a big ballot. You know, like
Yeah.
obviously every ballot
Yeah.
is a big ballot, but I think this is one of the biggest ones that we've had in like the last decade, for real. Just
Oh.
off of the strength of the candidates. You take a look at the minorities, understanding the policies that's being put in place, redlining, all of that good stuff.
And then we have the difficult task of squeezing out some black leaders over other black leaders
Yeah, for
because of
sure.
redistricting.
Mhm,
So this is going to be a very complex discussion.
For-
You
about
know, I
where
got a
we're
little
going.
worry about that. I think there are too many black folks. They're going to take each other's votes, and we could see a non-black vote.
People say about white votes the same way.
Yeah, but
Too many white people taking white votes.
This gerrymandering.
Black
the
people
way
are
that-
people,
I'm not-
just
I'm-
like white people. But you know, there's a diversity, and that's what both parties need to start recognizing. That they can't just take a vote because of a phenotype. They need to earn it.
Yeah, well, that's true. Hey, they
And that's
definitely
region to
need
region.
to earn it.
Yeah.
But getting back to Andre Nichols, Andre, where'd you go to high school?
I graduated from Detroit Renaissance High School, the number one public Detroit public school, community district school in the state
Yeah.
of Michigan.
I should have known.
Yes, sir, Ski.
And you played football for?
I did. I played football all 4 years. Started
You run
off-
track?
I did track and field. I did a little golf. I didn't do tennis. So when you threw tennis in there, I'm like, oh, bet that's a sport I got to pick up now. So
Didn't you say tennis?
I didn't say. I
No, it was
played.
golfing.
It was golf. I
Oh,
did
golf.
golf.
Yeah, okay.
I did
Man.
golf.
Golf, the gold sport.
Now listen, you threw the sport on me. Now I gotta learn how to play
All right.
tennis. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Beyond the Wii.
Yeah.
Well, on the Wii, I'm cold on the tennis Wii. You can't rock with me. No, you ain't. You
Wait,
But
can't
here's
see
the
me.
thing: you also caddied.
I did.
Yeah,
I
how many
still
years
do,
did you
depending on if the bag right.
So
I was going to ask Andre what your events in track were.
So in track, I was a little bit more heavy set. So I did the track and field. So I was more so on the field side. I was throwing the shot put in the distance.
really?
Discus,
Yes, sir. Steve.
word.
I
No
was-
kidding. No kidding.
Yeah, that was me. I was all of that.
What did you run?
I didn't run in any
Didn't run
events.
at all?
Nope, I just practiced track.
Oh, okay.
So when people say it's sports, I say track and field, but I just practiced the track part. I did the field.
Now, did you say college too?
I didn't play any sports in college outside of just recreational or intramural sports.
Okay.
I did
And
intramural
where'd you
flag
go?
football.
Where'd you go to college?
I'm currently at Michigan State University. I graduate with my marketing degree in 2023.
All right. All
Nice.
right. All right. Andre, I want
shoot.
you to, and this is a question I wanted to ask. I've got them written down now. I wanted you to describe your upbringing and what it was like growing up in Detroit.
Okay.
I mean, I know a little bit
Where'd
about
you grow
myself
up?
because I grew
Right.
up on the 16th Street. But okay.
So, my parents went to they were in Big Rapids, Michigan, at Fair State University when they were together, and that is where I was conceived. And my parents moved to Detroit when I was 3 after he graduated from college and coming back home. So I've been in Detroit all my life. Like even when I was born, clearly my mom had to come back to the city because that's where she's from. So I would be back and forth between Detroit and Big Rapids because
Where'd your mother go to school?
both my mom and my dad graduated from Big Rapids. Fair State in Big Rapids. That's where they both attended.
How about high school?
My mom went to Northwestern High School.
Oh, yeah,
You feel me?
my alma
So
mater.
she from around them ways, and then my dad. He went to high school in Baldwin, Michigan,
Okay.
at Baldwin High School.
Okay.
So Idlewild, which is a very historical place in
yeah.
the state of Michigan, Idlewild or Baldwin, they're interchangeable. Mainly Idlewild is like the contextual name that people like to place on that that
And you
city.
know what? We need
'Cause
to
that's the
link
most-
you
that's
up
important.
with some of the organizers.
Ida
bring
Short.
back the
Ida
Casablanca
Short is
Oh, that'd be
Hotel
dope.
at Idlewild. We'll
um,
hook you up.
that'd be
People
dope.
working projects in Idlewild.
That's
No, I
Dr.
really
Ida Short. We
appreciate
had her
it.
on this show, Dr. Ida Short. She's
Yeah.
renovating the
And we had
Casablanca Hotel in
Really?
Idlewild.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
So
We'll
I'm
link
hip.
you in.
I'm hip to like some of the real estate there, especially like the Rooster or like the how is that the Rooster? It's like there's only one bar in Idlewild that people of color, black people go to.
Yeah.
I think it's called the Rooster. I could be misspeaking, but that's like another place where when I go up there, I can't wait to go because I was a kid. So now that I'm 23, I'm about to see what his head on. I can finally come up in here and see what the girl fuck we doing. You feel me?
Idlewild's coming back.
Yeah.
And you're watching the John Telford Detroit Show coming to you live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow us in some of the other really wonderful programming that we offer here on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And we are talking to Mr. Andre Nichols II. He is founder of Duffy Enterprises, and we've just been talking a little bit about his background, growing up in Detroit, graduating from Renaissance, and pursuing his marketing degree right now at MSU.
Yo, Green.
You want a question? Or you
Oh,
want me to-
well, I was going to kind of link it back to because I know that mentoring is really important.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to like your biography, talking about
Yeah.
golf. How'd you go from golf to caddying, and did caddying have any relationship to the facts and the impact that you see in mentoring?
Absolutely. So, being in Detroit, which is a predominantly black city, one of the black, if not the blackest city in
About
America.
85%.
Exactly. And when I say we, black people are exposed to sports like golf. And I grew up on the west side of Detroit, 6 Mile, and
Or swimming or hockey.
exactly
Yeah.
sports where it was like a lot of different what's the best word, inequalities. And
Right,
because
right.
you have to take a look at the financial obligation.
right.
You have to take a look at the geographical location of where these sports are played and the traveling that goes into that. So there's a lot of barriers behind why certain demographics aren't allowed to or not privileged enough to play
Yeah.
certain sports. And I was blessed to have the privilege of one being a caddy first.
Right.
So my freshman, so as let me see, my second semester of my freshman year, so around like March of my freshman year
In high school?
In high school,
Okay.
my friends Christian Bowman and Edward Bowman, the Bowman family, they were caddies at Plum Hollow Country
Oh,
Club
yeah.
in
Oh,
Southfield.
Wow.
And so Chris and Ed was like, "Hey, bro, come get some paint with us. Like we see you, we know your swagger, we know you like, you know what I'm saying, sports. We know you interested in, you know, just doing something new. They was like, just come see what we doing with caddying. So I was like, bet. And the Bowman family, first and foremost, I want to say condolences to them because Mr. Bowman, he unfortunately is gone on home. So I definitely want to send my condolences to them. All love and support from my family to theirs. But the Bowman family poured a lot into me in terms of just opening some doors. And I became a caddy in April of 2013. The rest was history, so they say. Started caddying at Southfield Plum Hollow Country Club. I was a B caddy. You know, you get $16 flat rate. So I was getting $32 every time I caddy for somebody. So you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, you know what? It's not that bad. You know, about 4.5 hours, $32. You know, per bag. I can do this 3-4 times a weekend. I'm 13 years old. I'm thinking like, you know what? It ain't that bad.
Yeah.
I can make at least $100 a weekend. You know, 13 years old. That's not bad. So. I started enjoying it. I started meeting different men, different women who played the sport, and it wasn't more so the actual sport that I fell in love with. It was more so the people experience that I fell in love with. I'm networking. I'm talking to people. I'm learning the game. I'm being fascinated by the deals that I've heard being made. Now, mind you, I'm a 13-year-old West Side black boy, varsity football playing sports, caddying for this white dude who rich as a mug, don't know nothing about what he talking about, but yet and still he willing to pay me $100 to carry his bag. Absolutely, Dr. Gluck. When do you need me to come back out? So my thing is, I was getting paid to do something that really was manual labor, but more so you have another demographic who's appreciating your service within this industry.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it started to click like, hold on, Dre. You an independent contractor. You are contracted work, which is caddying, which is a service. Right. And based off of your performance, you get a certain pay. So it clicked in my mind like, oh.
You were starting to think like an entrepreneur.
I started thinking like a hustler. That's where I started thinking like a hustler.
An entrepreneur is a hustler.
Exactly. I'm a Detroiter. A Detroiter is a hustler. I started thinking like a Detroiter.
There are some non-Detroiters who are entrepreneur hustlers.
That's
too,
true.
And I could talk
we
about
call them
but
entrepreneurs, or a vocabulary word, cappers. So the word cap means not telling the truth. So therefore, if you call somebody a capper, that means they're a liar or they're somebody who does not tell the truth. So if you ever hear somebody say, oh, that's cap, that means, oh, that's not the truth. So you have people who are either real or you have people who are either cap.
See, I'm so old. The last time I heard cap is capping your ass.
That's true too. In
That's
Detroit,
the
you
last time I
could
heard
catch
that.
that cap too.
That's a
You
Detroit
never know.
saying too.
Hey, listen,
Well,
you
I've
never
been in
know.
Detroit for 86
Why you got to
years,
keep it on you?
but I never heard what capping your ass means.
You don't
Somebody
want
gonna
to.
shoot
I don't
you in
want to
the
know what
butt.
that means.
Oh,
I don't.
okay.
Gonna get a cap in your ass.
I don't want
Somebody
that.
gonna shoot you in the
I don't
ass.
think I
Shoot
want
you
near
on
my
the-
butt.
I
to
got
soak
it.
in water.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
cap-
not worth killing, but worth
Oh, not at all.
humiliating.
The
Definitely.
cap being the reference to what?
The bullet.
The bullet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got it. Okay.
Very creative.
Andre.
Yes, sir. What's up, Dr. J?
How has mentorship played a role
Woo!
in your success?
Because obviously not just anybody could be a caddy. I mean, you're looking at it as hard manual labor,
Yeah.
but when you're around well-heeled people, they want a good-looking kid who knows how to speak, who's attentive. How were
'Cause
you
it-
ready
'cause-
for it before you became a caddy? What was it in your upbringing that made the Bowman family bring you out to this country club?
Because this kid has mentored youngsters. That's what he's about.
Right.
And mentorship is very important to me.
Yeah.
And what I am asking you, Andre,
Yes, sir.
is how has mentorship factored in your success?
Okay, I'm gonna touch on both of you all points. I'm gonna start with yours first, Dr. J.
All right.
To be quite honest, I would not have amounted to all of the success that I have had today if it wasn't for mentorship.
Okay.
The first mentors I ever had were my parents. So it started with
You
the
were
household.
lucky in that regard.
I was
'Cause a lot of
blessed.
my kids don't
Man.
have both of them. Some of them don't have one of them.
And
Go ahead.
And that's no, thank you for being vulnerable with that. And that's something that I appreciate, having two parents.
Mm-hmm.
Although it wasn't a two-parent household because my parents are divorced, I still was blessed to have a mom and a dad, and I still do. And I never wanted to take that for granted. So when it came to mentorship, it was embedded within just my lifestyle. I played in a PAL. So I played in, Detroit PAL. Growing up, I played for the Detroit Dragons.
What position of football did you play?
I played middle linebacker and fullback. Those were my main positions. In high school, I got converted to outside linebacker, but really it was a hybrid between like a nickelback type of deal.
Yeah, okay.
So mentorship was originally outside of the household was fostered through sports, through my little league coaches, specifically the Detroit Dragons, Coach Darius, Coach Campbell. Those were like the two GOATs. Coach Darius, Coach Campbell, and then Coach Darius that.
Darius was his first name?
Coach Darius, Coach D, Coach Darius, Coach Campbell, those, and then Coach D's father. Those were like the three head honchos of the team. And then you got, Coach DeAndre, then you got Coach Twan, leaders of the organization, people who are like my big brothers, uncles. So those gentlemen, I have a lot of respect for them. So
this was Detroit PAL, right?
Detroit PAL, and then the organization is the Detroit Dragons. So shout out to Antoine, shout out to Dre, shout out to Coach D, shout out to Coach Campbell. Rest in peace, Coach Carlos. So it's a lot of people who have affected me throughout my life, and it started through football.
Is that Wes Carlos?
Excuse me?
Was that Wesley Carlos?
Coach Carlos. I don't know Coach I think Carlos is his first name.
Oh,
he was
first name. Okay.
Yeah, he was a coach for the Detroit Dragons. He passed away not too long ago. So definitely want to make sure I send him my condolences to his family as well as to his sons that I play football with. So that's where mentorship started with me, was through sports, football, and literally I met all of my closest friends to this day. I still have connections with through football. Even some of the public figures and throughout the Detroit. Even
That's
the
right.
rappers,
Right.
I play football with Skilla Baby. He's a rapper right now, an entrepreneur, a businessman, a very great young man. I played football with him growing up. Now he has so much success by using his form of expression, which happens to be rap, in order to create success for himself. And now he's in affiliations with another big rapper and entrepreneur, Side Baby. So it's like the connections that I have throughout the city started with football. If I didn't play football, I wouldn't have met Skittle Baby, or I wouldn't have met Coach D, or Coach Carlos, or Twine. I wouldn't have met, that coach who will introduce me to Alpha. Or it's just exponential of how mentorship really fosters, that village of raising a child. And I'm a child of Detroit. And that shirt that you have on that says Detroit Public Schools Community District, that's my family, DPS, all day. Detroit PAL, DPS, anything with Detroit in it, I'm on it. What's up? Because my thing is, that's my city, that's where I'm from, and I love it. And if it wasn't for mentorships like the Midnight Golf Program, PAL, Detroit Dragons, Alpha, because Alpha is a fraternity, an international organization that breeds brotherhood, I wouldn't be able to be the man that I am today.
And how are these organizations doing now? Are they doing?
They're doing. Well? Every organization that I've named is doing exceptionally well, especially the Alphas. 06 to the Good Bros.
And that's a fraternity, right?
Yes, it is. The number one, the only one, honestly, that matters.
The most exclusive fraternity there is an athletic team, both in high school and in college. And athletes make lifelong friends of other athletes. And I'm sure that you remember many of your teammates, both from high school and from Police Athletic League. I have made many lifelong friends in the same way.
In fact, you said it was sports that kept you out of juvie.
No, it didn't keep me out of juvie.
But you might not have gotten your PhD without sports.
I wouldn't have my PhD. Well, I wouldn't have my BA without sports. Yeah, Wayne State paid for my bachelor's. I had to pay for my master's and my doctorate. But I wouldn't have had any of those degrees if it hadn't been for going to school on an athletic scholarship.
And like you said, a lot of the top political leaders in Detroit all come from esteemed sports programs from schools.
For sure.
And athletes get to know a lot of the top political leaders. When I was running, that was the first time I met Coleman Young. He was a state senator then, but he was following my career and Cliff Hatcher's career. Cliff Hatcher was my teammate at Wayne State. He had held the quarter-mile record at Central High School. But Coleman Young followed every step we took. When Wayne State, in those days, we had a relay team 4x4 and 4x2 that were beating everybody in the. We were beating Michigan State, and Coleman Young was a state senator at the time, way before he was mayor. Took a real interest in everything we were doing.
And
But,
you're watching
we're-
the John Telford Detroit Show, coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, comment, share, and subscribe to us and the various other programmings offered to you here on WJZZ, the coolest station in the world.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to be interviewing, Sunanda and I are supposed to be interviewing Andre Nichols. I'm not supposed to be interviewing myself. I'm talking about
So
all
before we talk about
Yeah.
what it means to be an entrepreneur, perhaps even defining what an entrepreneur means for your generation, let's talk a little bit about Duffy Enterprises and then segue into what entrepreneurship means to you through that. Could you tell us a little bit about that business and how it started?
Yes. So the Duffy Enterprise is my consulting firm, and I specialize in strategy, branding, and marketing. And my company's focus is providing our clients with custom, strategic, and strategy-driven processes to help them achieve their goals.
How can your enterprise and you be contacted?
You can contact me and my company via Instagram at the Duffy Enterprise, or you can contact me at Instagram ADNII98. In addition to my Twitter, which is at 2_Dre, DRE, the number 4. Also on Facebook, Andre D. Nichols II. In addition to my website, www.mrduffy.org. That's www.mrduffy.org.
Okay, Andre, can you remember to repeat all that again?
Absolutely.
What you just said? Go ahead, do it again.
Yes, if you want to contact me, you can reach me at www.mrduffy.org. That's www.mrduffy.org. In addition to my Facebook, Andre D. Nichols II, my Instagram at ADNII98, in addition to my Twitter at 2_Dre4. That's at 2_DRE4, the number 4.
Now, what I find so interesting about Duffy Enterprises is you're talking about, and we know while we were on COVID, a lot of people had to go onto virtual platforms.
Yeah.
And you're talking about bringing us back from a virtual
Yes.
to an actual visceral engagement with each other in the workplace.
Yes.
So, and that's interesting coming from a young person. I'm sorry, I don't mean to label
it's
you
a compliment if you
as
ask me.
Hey,
but because
you're 24.
we tend to think that young people want to just jump off the digital springboard and not come back. And here you are talking about using
Yes.
digital technology to bring back the physicality
Yes.
and the fellowship in workplace
Absolutely.
environment. So how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the principles that are involved, and what are some problems that people come to you with? Common problems in the company.
So, the company itself, our values are empathy, community, innovate, and then one of my favorite ones is the fourth one. And it's kind of like been one of those ones you kind of like, oh, do I want to use that one? Do I want to use this one? But it's strategy. And that is what the company is built off of. It's built off of being empathetic. You are a human first. My company's philosophy is we use the human, we humanize the problem solving process. So there is a concept or a strategy called design thinking. And design thinking uses principles that force problem solvers, i.e. humans, to not use other resources, other tools, or other digital help in order to solve a problem. Only thing you need is this up here, which is your brain.
Right.
And so
Instead of looking outward.
Exactly. Because if you take things from the basic principle, before we had all of this technology, we had each other. So I wanted my company to really embody, we need each other. We don't need a computer. We don't need a cell phone. We don't need a tablet. We just need each other. And so through my company, empathy is the core principle, because I want to be able to let you know that, hey, I don't understand what you're going through, I don't know what you're going through. Oftentimes, it's not even a responsibility. It's a responsibility for me to care. But at the end of the day, you are a human being, and you need love, and you need care, and you need support too. So through my company, I want people to know that if you need some type of support, and you feel as though that we could be applicable to that, come to us.
So in that sense, people been kind of mentoring down the generations. How are you mentoring up the generations when you're going to older entrepreneurs with these new models?
KISS. Keep it super simple.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Keep it simple, sweetheart, as he'll say.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Well, I like that one.
What
is it?
That's the original one.
Keep it
Let me
simple,
write that one.
sweetheart.
Keep it simple,
Can you send that to
sweetheart.
me?
Yeah.
Keep it.
KISS.
Yeah,
Keep
but
it
you can't
simple,
say
sweetheart.
sweetheart anymore. That's all.
Oh,
Keep
yeah.
it simple.
Like
You
you
know
just-
that.
Depending on who
Yeah.
for sure. You got to be careful with the
Keep it
context.
super simple. Okay, that's
Super
good.
simple.
That's
Yeah.
I
good.
like sweetheart.
But I like your attitude of empathy, because
Thank you.
if the whole world had that attitude, we wouldn't be dealing with what we're dealing with Putin right now.
Or
Yeah.
Amazon.
Or anybody.
Or anybody.
So
Trump, any of them.
the other three values after empathy are strategy, community, and innovate. So
Right.
strategy, because I believe everybody needs some form of a plan in order to accomplish your goals.
You being a former athlete,
Yes.
you understand all about strategy.
Yes, I do.
Because strategy is very, very important in athletics.
Absolutely.
Maybe not in the 100-yard dash, 100-meter dash,
And you know
but definitely in the 400-meter dash.
And do you
in-
know the 1960s word that they don't show in textbooks anymore that comes before strategizing?
What's that?
Organizing.
Absolutely.
So when you're strategizing, the organizing is kind of inherent. You're organizing
Yeah.
people into a cohesive social body.
Absolutely.
Whether they agree or disagree, they act as a body together.
Exactly. It's Dr.
Yeah,
J,
it's
since
good.
you brought up the football, I'll take it back to, or sports, I should say. I'll take it back to football. It's almost, I was a defensive captain. I played linebacker. So I knew if we were playing a team like Cass Tech, prime example. We played Cass Tech my senior year, and it was a decent game in the first, 2 quarters. Then they ended up mopping the floor with us. I'm going to just be real, because that's all I got to do is be real.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, why that game always stood out to me is because that whole week we knew Cass's whole game plan. They had Rodney Hall at quarterback. They had Donovan People-Jones at running back. I forgot not at running back. They had Donovan People-Jones at wide receiver. Rodney at quarterback. They had number 24 at running back. They had Michael Owenu on the offensive defensive line. They had Tank. They had my boy. Not Will. He crossed Q at Syracuse. I'm sorry for getting your name, bro, but you already know it's all love. He played at Brother Rice, but I forget my man's name. But they had some dogs, and all of the people who I named, I have some form of a friendship or relationship, or I know them. Whole week we knew they about to either throw to Donovan, they about to try to run that option zone read that they love. So the whole week I'm just telling the defense, I'm like, look, if you see that guard pull, you follow that big dude. If you see that running back looking at you or that corner, he's about to do a counter.
Follow their eyes.
You feel me? The running back gonna tell you every time I'm middle linebacker. If you running back, I'm looking you dead in your eyes because I'm about to see if you sweet or not.
I look the way they're looking. I always got to
Exactly.
be looking the way they're looking.
So boom, when it comes to strategy, my strategy for the game was like, boom, I want to play outside linebacker this game, coach, because I don't want to deal with them pulling guards. Because Michael Owenu, who currently is in the NFL right now, playing for I believe the Patriots, that's a big dude. I ain't trying to touch you, Mike. I'm not trying to go through that. So what I did was I'm like, let me play outside linebacker, and I can better play the zone option because Rodney. If Rodney throw that ball out and his arms are super hyper extended to the point where it's like his arms are locked, Rodney is getting ready to pull that ball quickly back and he's getting ready to hit the corner. So that means I got to be ready to meet Rodney Hall every time he thinks he can bounce the ball outside. So my strategy playing Cass was if you contain the perimeter, the only thing they going to do is try to run the ball up the middle or they going to try to throw. But guess what?
They didn't contain the perimeter.
Exactly. And guess what happened? They started doing everything I knew they was going to do. They started teeing up. But we end up losing. But look, here's the thing. I'm talking about the defensive strategy. We ain't even talk about what's on the offense. You hear me? We got that boy Alante Thomas, dog, beast, number 8. You hear me? Coming from a family of all-state Americans. Shout out to his big brother Lawrence Thomas, also Renaissance graduate, all city, all state. So that's the offensive strategy. We got Tay. Tay toted that thing for like 3-4 touchdowns that game, 200 or something yards. Boy, sidelines was turned. I'm talking about the whole offensive scheme was feed Tay. So when you talk about strategy from the business perspective, I use games, I use sports in order to create these metaphors and analogies for my clients. If that's how you understand business, boom, give me something that you understand. I'm going to create an analogy, I'm going to create a strategy behind it, and I'm going to put it into your context of how you understand it, and we're going to get this money.
And so how about the branding
Wait a
part
minute,
of
wait a
it?
minute. On that note, I got it. Before I forget this, Virginia Starkey, fondly known as V, the proprietress of V's Boutique, offers a wide range of fine clothing and accessories for ladies. You can find all sizes of women's fine apparel in V's one-stop excellent customer service at V's Boutique that you can't find anywhere else in Detroit. V's is at 16423 East Warren. That's 16423 East Warren Avenue, and it's right around the corner from the Alger Theater and right around the corner from one of the few libraries that is still open. So patronize V's Boutique by all means. We are interviewing Andre Nichols, a promising young entrepreneur who also is a mentor. He is a mentor for young folks, and we've got him in the studio today, sitting right across from me. And I want to ask you, Andre, this next question.
Yes.
How do you prioritize? I'm having trouble enunciating today. How do you prioritize your time with such a busy schedule?
Oh, that's a good question. It is difficult, but it is not impossible, and I do my best to get the job done and figure it out. I am a faithful man. I'm a Christian, and I put all my faith in my higher belief system, and through that, I prioritize myself first.
In other words, though, you say you prioritize yourself first, but you also keep your promises to others, and you also keep a record. How do you know what you have to do next? If
I
you
have 4
somebody
calendars.
4 calendars?
Yeah, I have 2 physical and then 2 digital.
2 physical and 2 digital.
They're all synced.
These kids are way ahead of us, man. I got one little old calendar, which I try to look at every day. And if I don't look at it, I'm in trouble because I find out 2 days later.
I count on the reminder text.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had people call me and say to me, Dr. Telford, where are you? Why aren't you here? Oh, I didn't look at my calendar. So that's almost de rigueur now. We got to check our calendars. We got to have a calendar. But this kid has got 4 calendars. I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do that.
He's young. He can do it all.
It works for me.
Let them do it for us.
That's true. You can pay me to do that too. So plug for the Duffy Enterprise.
So what are NFTs?
NFTs is an acronym for non-fungible tokens.
Say it again.
Refundable?
Excuse me.
Non-fundable.
Non-fungible tokens.
Fungible, like
Yeah.
fungi?
So if you were to spell it out, it's non
Yeah.
dash fungible fungible
Like
fungible.
fungus.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
then
not familiar
tokens.
with fungible. What does
Not
that mean?
Wait,
Okay.
what's T?
Tokens.
Token. Okay.
Okay. So let me see.
That is an unfamiliar word to me, fungible. Have you
Okay.
ever heard
Before
the word
NFTs used to
fungible?
stand for like National Free Trade or something. I can't keep up.
I have a perfect example of how to break this down to you.
Okay.
Okay.
We're learning something here today. Non-fungible tokens, and I'm thinking
F-U-N-G-I-B-L-E.
fungi.
Okay. So in this context, I have two pennies, and I have a mint. I'm gonna grab 4 more. I'm gonna grab 3 more. Okay.
I'm going to grab one too.
Okay. Perfect.
Put it in my pocket.
So this is how I'm gonna break down NFTs to you all. In the United States economic system,
Yeah.
this is a white blanket exercise. This is not all factual based. So this is all just roll with me. But
All right.
you
He's got
understand
that
the
on my
concept.
autobiography too, which I just signed to him. A Life on the Run, Seeking and Safeguarding Social Justice. And this book is available if you call me at 313-460-8272, and I will sign it for you, because that's how I'm staying on the air. A Life on the Run, Seeking and Safeguarding Social Justice. Call me at 313-460-8272. Anyway, go ahead.
No problem.
Explain fungible,
Yes.
non-fungible. What's
I'm
going
gonna
on?
explain both.
All right.
So fungible means if I were to give you 5 pennies and you give me a nickel, that's fungible.
Okay.
So that's like an equivalent.
Exactly.
Yeah, equivalent
Right.
exchange.
So
Okay.
these are reciprocities.
Yes.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So we all agree that in terms of fungible, it means an equal value in exchange depending on what's being traded or what you are identifying as that form of currency.
Okay.
And in this sense, we're talking about coins, U.S. dollars. So in U.S. dollars, $5 is fungible in terms of looking at a $5 bill. So 5 single dollars equals $5 bill, right? We all agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. In the world of non-fungible tokens
Yeah.
and the blockchain, they say if you give us 2 of those pennies, we will give you 4 of these breath mints.
Bartering.
Because 2 breath mints are worth 1 penny.
Exactly. However, in the world of non-fungible tokens, would you rather have the breath mints or would you rather have the pennies?
Beats the shit out of me.
The pennies.
Why would you rather have the
You
pennies?
can spend them again.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you brought that up. What if I told you 1 breath mint was worth 5 pennies? What would you want then?
I think, you see, I'm old school. I still want the currency more than the product.
Okay, so
If
let's.
it's an asset, if the
So,
breath mint is an
I'll-
asset, I'll
exactly.
take the asset.
Okay, thank
If
you.
it's property, I'll
Thank
take
you.
it.
Thank
But
you.
if
You just
it's-
said you
okay.
just proved my point.
Okay.
The breath mint is the asset.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
why would you want the 5 pennies if the asset itself brings you the 5
Most
pennies?
rich people don't have 5 pennies. Most rich
And
people
I'm not
have
talking.
assets.
I'm not talking exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Rich people have assets. I'm talking in the form of assets.
Capping your assets.
So for me as an entrepreneur, I realized if non-fungible tokens are a new form of digital assets, what utility do I need to place upon my own collection in order to bring me the pennies?
Yeah, man. I want this kid managing my enterprise. I'll tell you that.
Hey, listen, if you that serious, you can come contact me whenever you want.
I would want
So
you managing
in this sense, you can raise the value of assets within just that trade.
Exactly. So
Right.
for me, what
So
I'm
how can this not be exploited into
I'm getting ready to tell you.
inflating? Yeah.
so that is where the understanding of the blockchain
Yeah.
and cryptocurrency comes into
Yeah.
place. And
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
have enough time to talk about that. However, I'll give you a
We need
brief
to bring you back
overview.
for crypto. Yeah, go on.
So with NFTs, using the same analogy of breath mints and pennies, breath mints are the NFTs.
Okay.
Pennies are the US dollars.
Okay.
I get it. You know, it reminds me when I was a little kid.
Or crypto, I should say.
It reminds me
Ethereum.
when I was a little kid growing up on 16th Street. I can remember I had this big truck that my father had bought for me. And I could roll it around, and I was really thought it was a real shiny, beautiful truck. And kids down the street, Danny and David, they lived over on a flat on Stanton, came up the alley one time with this old ore, and it looked like it was a big object, but it was a old useless ore. But me being maybe 7 years old,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this ore, and so Danny and David said to me, "We'll give you this ore if you give us that truck." So I gave them my truck for the ore, and when my father came home, he had to go down the alley and get back that truck because he was so mad. But those kids,
1 for 1.
those kids were entrepreneurs,
Good bartering system.
extraordinary. Danny and David.
And you're watching the John Telford
yeah.
Detroit Show, coming to you live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share your comments with us and the various other programming that we offer here on WJZZ, the coolest station in the world. And don't forget, if you want to look fly on Fridays between 3 and 5, April 1st to May 20th, Detroit Vibes and Scribes every Friday. It's being held at the Hannon Center on Woodward Avenue in Midtown. It's a great scene, especially right after work with your cutie. So please join us at the Hannon Center at Detroit Vibes and Scribes every Friday from 3 to 5. And please look for invitations on, what's it called? Eventbrite. Yeah, because space is limited, but it's free.
What's that mean? How many minutes we got left?
And so now we've got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, well, I got to say this before I forget. If someone asks you to sign a petition advancing 2 messages and 2 measures, the Michigan Student Opportunity Program Initiative and the Michigan Tax Credit for Student Opportunity Scholarship Contributions Initiative, don't sign it. It is Betsy DeVos's thinly veiled scheme to advance the privatization of our public education. It's a thinly veiled voucher program which the people won't get the chance to vote on.
It's not thin at all. It is a voucher program, and it's up to the audience to think whatever they want, but your signature counts twice as much if you do sign, because if there are enough signatures, it's not going to go through legislation. It's going to turn directly into law. So please consider the direct impact of your signature. This isn't a regular petition.
Don't sign it. I repeat, do not sign it. We are interviewing Andre Nichols, entrepreneur extraordinaire. Go ahead.
So I got to ask you a question about depression and mental discord amongst young people. How do you deal with that recurring theme coming up in the generation? Because you're coming up, you're out, you're confident, but when I teach at college, I see some kids can't even make it out of bed sometimes. And it's not necessarily material. Sometimes it is. So can you tell us a little bit about your ideas about what's going on with mental health?
Yeah.
Are we putting too much emphasis on it? Less emphasis on bonding?
Not sure. I'm bipolar and schizophrenic. I was diagnosed with those 2 mental health conditions in August of 2020, between August and September of 2020.
God bless, and I gotta say, the schizophrenic kids in my class have been the gifted ones. So I just want to let you know, and you're obviously gifted as well.
Thank you.
They might look at it as a mental disorder, but it's this weird gift for thinking as well.
like me and my friends in my community, the word weird is a positive word for us. Like, we call each other weird, but we also have safe spaces where we know to defend each other if we hear the word weird being used out of context. So it's kind of like being schizophrenic and bipolar, I was welcomed with open arms into that community. Being bipolar, we have, like, I don't know if schizophrenic have their own sign, but the bipolar sign is like a frowny face upside down. It's like a frowny face, smiley face. So it's like imagine like drawing a happy face, but then put the eyes at the bottom too.
So how did you find this group? How did you get involved?
My first diagnosis was schizophrenic. I went to the facility called Pine Rest.
And thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. I went to Pine Rest, which is a Christian or mental health hospital in Grand Rapids. They did a phenomenal job. Shout out to Dr. Z and Dr. San Andreas, who were the individuals who helped me out during that process. And that is where I found out about my first mental health condition, which is schizophrenic. And for me, for people who do not know, the best way I like to describe it, how I understand it and how I grow with it, is I have a internal battle with myself that nobody knows about. And it's nobody's business to know what that battle looks like. Yeah. But it is my responsibility to control myself in that battle. That is how I break down schizophrenic, because for those who are schizophrenic, you will understand what I just said. It's I'm in my head while I'm physically present with you.
Yeah.
Like, we're having a conversation, but I'm talking to myself right now.
Yeah.
So you really have 2 minds going at the same
time. Yeah, it's like a split
personality. Like but not. Yeah. But they talk to each other.
And I can use these words because I'm a part of this community. So, like, other people who may say the same things, I might feel it might sound offensive to me, because I'm like, if you're coming from a place of ignorance, your ignorance could be disrespectful to somebody who is in being, evolved to that. Like, if you don't know how to use certain words and you saying it like obliviously, you can hurt somebody's feelings. And I've hurt people's feelings by not knowing prior. And I'm still growing. I'm still learning. There's certain words that I've used that I shouldn't be used, but at the same time, I always hold myself accountable. Like, Dre, you shouldn't have said that. Or Dre, like, watch yourself. Because I'm human. Like, I'm going to make mistakes. But that's schizophrenic. And then with being bipolar, that's because of trauma, PTSD, ADHD. Just I don't have ADHD, but I was supposed to get tested for it, so I don't know if I had it or was supposed to. So that's just one of the like byproducts of it. But mood fluctuations, and for me, the best way I do is I like to meditate, I like to pray, I like to read, listen to music, play with Legos, find my healthy coping mechanisms, and find the purpose of my life.
Andre, I have a daughter who's bipolar. I understand what you're saying, but we've run out of time. We've been interviewing Andre Nichols, a superb young entrepreneur. We're going to have you back on this show.
Oh, we're definitely going to have you back, especially to talk about digital currency.
Thank you.
And you've just been absolutely fascinating. And you've been listening to the John Telford Detroit Show with Dr. John Telford and your co-host, Dr. Sunanda Samathur Corrado on WJZZ